It's almost unbelievable. Imagine a nation that once designed aircraft admired around the world, now having to wait for Washington's approval just to repair its own fighter jets. That has been Canada's quiet reality for decades. But one morning in March 2023, something began to shift. Not through loud speeches or press conferences, but through a confidential letter sent from Stockholm to Ottawa. Inside that letter was a proposal analysts would later describe as a rare turning point in modern defense procurement history. Sweden wasn't simply offering to sell Canada the Gripen E fighter jet. They were offering something no NATO ally had ever seriously proposed before. Full access to software keys, transfer of core technology, and most importantly, permission for Ottawa to control the future of its own fighter fleet. Suddenly, the question was no longer just which aircraft Canada would buy. The real question became this: does Ottawa have the courage to take back the control it lost? For nearly 3 decades, Canada's fighter jet procurement story has played out like an endless stage performance. Since 1997, Ottawa has announced, cancelled, and restarted replacement programs for its aging CF-18 fleet again and again. Every new government promises to finally resolve the issue, only to push the decision into the next political term. In 2023, when Canada officially selected the F-35 Lightning II under a contract worth 19 billion Canadian dollars, many experts felt relief. They argued this was the only logical option for a NATO member and a key NORAD partner. In their view, there was no real alternative. But the situation is far more complicated than budget numbers and technical charts suggest. This isn't just about purchasing fighter jets. It's about national capability in an era where technology defines sovereignty. When analysts look closely at the F-35 agreement, they see a highly structured system of dependence. Every software update requires approval from Lockheed Martin. Every new weapons integration must be cleared by the Pentagon. Even fixing small sensor issues often means American technicians flying in, or sensitive data being sent back to Texas for analysis. This setup isn't accidental. It reflects the procurement model Canada has accepted for decades, buying finished technology instead of building domestic capability. Then Sweden's proposal arrived, directly challenging all of those long-held assumptions. Saab's offer was unlike any defense deal Canada had seen before. This wasn't a simple buy the aircraft and wait for delivery arrangement. Sweden presented a full co-production framework centered on the Gripen E platform. The proposal was built on 3 core pillars: meaningful technology transfer, domestic assembly, and what Sweden calls sovereign mission systems, the right to control mission-critical software. Under this plan, Canadian engineers wouldn't just assemble aircraft components. They would receive deep training to understand, modify, and develop the aircraft's core software. Analysts say this represents an economic and industrial partnership that could last for decades. Saab committed to integrating Canadian software developers, aviation technicians, and electronics specialists into the full lifecycle of the aircraft, from upgrade design to weapons testing and system validation. Most striking of all, Sweden was willing to share source code for critical systems. While the F-35 functions as a closed black box even for close allies, the Gripen was built on a philosophy of technical transparency. The purchasing nation is meant to operate the aircraft independently. One Canadian defense official reportedly said this proposal directly challenged an assumption Ottawa had accepted for more than 50 years, that Canada no longer has the ability to produce advanced defense technology. Sweden was telling Canada that assumption was wrong and that they were ready to prove it. Canada was once an aerospace leader. In the 1950s, the Avro Aero symbolized not just national pride, but world-class technical capability. Canadian engineers designed advanced jet engines and some of the most sophisticated flight control systems of their time. But in 1959, the Aero program was abruptly canceled, not because of technical failure, but due to political pressure and Cold War strategic calculations. Ottawa chose to buy American aircraft instead of continuing domestic development. From that moment, Canada slowly shifted from being a producer of defense technology to a consumer of foreign systems. 6 decades later, the consequences remain. The hidden costs of dependency go far beyond budget lines. Software updates depend on Lockheed Martin's timelines. Integrating European missiles requires Pentagon approval due to shared NATO data networks. Experts argue Canada's strategic autonomy has steadily eroded. What many don't realize is that this dependence also spread into civilian sectors. As defense aviation capability declined, supplier networks vanished. High-skilled job opportunities shrank. Universities stopped training military aviation engineers because demand disappeared. Now Sweden's proposal forces Canada to confront a question it has avoided for years. Is this dependence truly unavoidable? To understand why Sweden's offer is so disruptive, we need to look at modern fighter jet economics. Today, the real value of a combat aircraft isn't the metal airframe or the engine. It's the software, the data, and the ability to upgrade continuously. The F-35 perfectly illustrates this model. Buyers receive hardware, but mission data files, electronic warfare libraries, and threat recognition systems remain controlled by the manufacturer. For Canada, the effects are concrete. Technicians cannot adjust sensor logic without U.S. approval. When Arctic threats evolve, such as new Russian radar systems, Canada can't immediately develop countermeasures. They must wait for updates aligned with the F-35 program's global priorities. Analysts describe a troubling paradox. Canada's aircraft reflect Washington's strategic priorities, not Ottawa's. When U.S. focus shifts to the Pacific or Middle East, Arctic updates can fall down the priority list. Sweden's proposal offers a different approach. Saab would give Canada full software access, allowing domestic upgrades, independent update schedules, and system redesigns tailored to Arctic conditions. This is more than a technical shift. It's an institutional one. It challenges the belief that technological sovereignty is reserved only for superpowers. The tensions around this decision involve three key players. For Washington, the F-35 is not just an aircraft, it's the foundation of a NATO-wide fighter ecosystem. Shared platforms enable real-time data exchange, standardized logistics, and deep U.S. influence over allied defense development. Analysts say the F-35 creates dependency not through force, but by making alternatives economically and politically costly. Canada faces pressure from all sides. Budgets remain tight. Public patience is exhausted after decades of indecision. NORAD modernization is urgent. Meanwhile, Sweden has its own strategic goals. The Arctic is becoming a major geopolitical frontier, with melting ice, new sea routes, and rising competition. Partnering with Canada offers long-term benefits for Sweden as a new NATO member. Saab isn't just selling jets, they're proposing a new cooperation model, one where mid-sized nations preserve technological autonomy without total reliance on major powers. At its core, this is a conflict between three visions of collective security in an age where technology equals sovereignty. Canada now stands at a crossroads. One road offers alliance certainty and interoperability. The other demands reinvestment, risk, and rebuilding, but also offers control, independence, and long-term industrial renewal. There is no perfect choice, only trade-offs. The F-35 provides unmatched capability with deep dependency. The Gripen offers sovereignty, but requires political courage. Ultimately, the real question isn't which aircraft is better. It's what kind of nation Canada wants to be in the 21st century, a technology consumer or a technology controller. Sweden's proposal is a reminder that dependency isn't destiny. As the Arctic becomes the defining frontier of this century, the question remains: who will control the northern skies, and who will hold the technological keys that decide that future? If you want to keep exploring untold stories about power, technology, and sovereignty, like and subscribe. Your support helps us investigate what others won't say. This video is based entirely on public sources and contains no classified information. Any references to nations, companies, or individuals are for analytical and contextual purposes only.